Hi, I'm Jimmy. In this video, we're looking at UnitedHealthCare stock, ticker symbol UNH. Now, this video is part of our Dow 30 analysis series, where we're analyzing all 30 companies in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The ones that are checked are the ones that we've done so far. Now we're up to UNH. And in this one, we're actually going to do something a little bit different in that we're going to look at the history of UNH, and then ultimately we're going to try to compare this company to Berkshire Hathaway. So UnitedHealthCare is an insurance company. Berkshire Hathaway, they own a lot of businesses, but they also are primarily an insurance company. They make a ton of money from their insurance business. So I thought it'd be interesting to compare the two of them towards the end of the video. But for now, let me introduce you real quick to an investing platform that we're building. So we've got our private investing community hosted over on Discord. On Discord, we got a whole bunch of different investing channels where we all talk, share ideas, do some research projects together, and ultimately try to get better as a community at investing. We also do a couple investing live streams, private investing live streams every week. Some we do a valuation live stream, we do a portfolio live stream where we talk about my portfolio, we build the different portfolios. Plus, we do a research live stream where we try to analyze companies together and go through the process together so we could all get better at it. Okay, now let me tell you about the website that we're building. So we already built the beta version of our discounted cash flow calculator. And the idea is that we would have a website that has a bunch of different valuation methods. So it could be, how do you value banks? How do you value a large cap company? How do you value a real estate company? How do you value a company with no growth or negative free cash flow or negative profits? There's different ways to value all different types of companies. So that's where the website's trying to go. For now, we've already got the beta version of the DCF calculator up there. We're just going to keep adding from there. Now, if you'd like to sign up to get access to our investing community as well as the website, I will leave a link in the description below. Okay, now we're jumping over to UnitedHealthCare's business segments. So we can see that they have two primary segments. They have UnitedHealthCare, which represents about 78% of total revenue. This is as of 2021. By the way, this company reports earnings in a couple days where they will close out 2022. So these numbers are through 2021. And we're going to look up some projections for 2022 towards the end of the video. But UnitedHealthCare represents about 78% of revenue. Optum represents about 22% of revenue. Now, we can actually break their Optum business into sub-segments. First, we have Optum Rx. That represents about 12% of total revenue. Optum Rx is essentially their pharmacy business. Their pharmacy has more traditional pharmacies. They have delivery pharmacy services, things along those lines. Everything that's in their pharmacy business, the revenue gets classified under Optum Rx. Then there's Optum Health. Optum Health is essentially it's sort of a service that they provide for doctors. So they own a few hospitals, they own a few urgent care facilities, and then they have services that they provide for doctors. Let's say you're a doctor and you want them to process all your transactions. You want to use their software to manage, your customers, things like that. That's essentially what Optum Health does. Where UnitedHealthCare is really for is sort of the people end of it. Optum Health is really for the doctor end of it. And then they have Optum Insight. Optum Insight can be defined as, they call it their artificial intelligence division, but it's more of like a data warehouse. It's more all the information that they gather from all their businesses, all the different business lines that they're in. That revenue, any revenue that they generate from that, ultimately gets assigned to their Optum Insight business. But what's interesting about this is revenue. And that's as of 2021. But what about something like profit? Well, if we were to look at Optum and UnitedHealthCare, for as far as profit, this is actually profit before tax. They don't give us the profit after tax. Profit before tax, close enough. Well, Optum represents about 50%. The two companies are nearly split down the middle from how much they're generating profit, what percentage of profit are being generated in each business. Okay, now we're going to do something a little bit different here. So UnitedHealthCare has grown a decent amount over the past 20 or 30 years. But much like Berkshire Hathaway, they've grown largely by acquisition. They have gradually rolled up different companies, pulled them into their insurance business, bought their way into new markets, into new business lines. Essentially, they've been able to grow somewhat organically, but acquisitions have really driven what they've done. In fact, Optum, the top half of this chart here, the part of the business that is generating about half of their profit right now was an acquisition just a few years ago, but we're going to touch on that in a second. For now, let's fast forward, or let's rewind to 1990, and then we're going to gradually roll through time, and I'm going to talk about some of the important things and how revenue has grown during this time period. Now, before we get into rolling through this, I just want to bring out a couple important points. First, these numbers in billions. The y-axis here, the number scale, that's gradually going to change as we go through time because clearly revenue has grown a lot since 1990. And the other thing is, it's important that we know what a health maintenance organization is. HMO for short. You're going to hear HMO a lot through this because, like I said, UnitedHealthCare has really acquired their way through it. So an HMO is essentially an insurance company with, let's call it limited access. So we would pick a primary care physician. I'd pick my own doctor. And then if I needed a specialist, that doctor will send me to a specialist as long as it's in network. If you go out of network, it gets very expensive. But if you stay in network, it's supposed to be a more affordable insurance type of program. So I think that's important just to point out what that is. This is a slightly niche form of health insurance, big in the United States. I don't know if it's quite as big around the world, but either way, let's roll forward with some of the acquisitions that they've made. So in the early 90s, they started making acquisitions. They picked up a HMO plan in Milwaukee, another one in Maryland, another one in Wisconsin. They picked up one in Rhode Island. They picked up a 50% stake of an HMO plan coming out of North Carolina. They bought the second largest HMO plan coming in Chicago. So you can see that they really acquired their way in a bunch of different markets. But the real big one came in 1996 when they went ahead and acquired Healthwise. Healthwise, another HMO plan, but they operated HMOs in Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Maryland. It was a big acquisition for UnitedHealthCare at the time, and we can see this acquisition and the other acquisitions that they did leading up to this had their revenue jump nearly 70 some odd %, which was huge. They jumped from about $5.5, $6 billion to almost $10 billion in a single year. And if you looked at their numbers from a quarterly basis, they really just kept growing at a rapid rate. And then in 1997, the AARP organization, that's short for the American Association of Retired Persons, they elected UnitedHealthCare to be one of the distributors of healthcare to the retired people of the United States. And we could see, although it didn't affect things as much in 1997, in 1998, this had a big impact. They saw a revenue jump of about 40% from 97 to 98. And if you look at the increase in revenue over just the past few years, things have gone a little bit crazy for UnitedHealthCare. Then in 1999, they acquired a dental benefit provider, again, buying their way into different business lines. 2001, one of their subsidiaries, Evercare, acquired LifeMark. Fast forward from there, 2004, they acquired a company called Touchpoint, but the big one in 2004 was when they acquired Oxford Health Plans. They paid just short of about $5 billion for Oxford Health Plans. And as we can see, the acquisitions are getting bigger, and we're again are seeing big jumps in revenue. The jump from 2003 to 2004 was about 32% in as far as revenue jumping. Then in the following year, they went ahead and they bought Pacific Care Health Systems. This was a health insurance provider based out of California that paid about $7 billion for them. Again, big numbers, but big improvements in revenue. Then in 2006, they got selected to begin to serve as a plan sponsor for the Medicare Part D prescription drug program. This got handed to them through the Medicare and Medicaid services offered in the United States. That was a huge driver of revenue in 2006. They also picked up John Deere Healthcare Services Program. That brought about $1 billion in revenue to the company. But we can see the revenue growth here was huge. They came in with more than 50% revenue growth from one year to the next. Again, largely driven by the Medicare, their Medicare participation. Coming out of this deal, they had some steady growth in the coming years where Medicare and Medicaid were able to fuel additional growth. They also were able to have some rate increases. They had additional exposure to the corporate customers that they had, where companies were offering their insurance programs to their employees, and that fueled growth up until 2011, where they then acquired Optum Health. Now, Optum Health, this is a company that we mentioned in the beginning that is currently generating about 50% of profit. Now, this is important because Optum Health, in 2011, they acquired them, and then they almost immediately made an acquisition to tack it on to Optum Health. They acquired a company called Logistics Health. They actually just changed the name. They now call it Optum Serve. And essentially, this provides healthcare services to government agencies, divisions like the Department of Defense, Department of Health and Human Services, Veterans Affairs, and so on. Government agencies, but they bought that at the end of 2011. So they bought Optum Health, and then they tacked on what is now called Optum Serve to try to help grow that business. Going forward, they continue to push out different divisions, some into UnitedHealthCare, some into the Optum business. In 2012, they bought XL Health. Then later that year, they bought a Brazilian health insurance company, again, expanding their reach geographically this time. Then Optum Health in 2014 acquired the health services unit of Alere Health. Then in 2015, they acquired a company called Catamaran. Catamaran really helped ramp up their pharmacy business. Again, this falls under the Optum Health division, and this is the Optum Rx that we saw before. Catamaran falls under that division. Then, coming out of this acquisition, Optum Health went ahead and bought the DaVita Healthcare Group from DaVita Incorporated, and that again helped ramp up revenue. Well, fast forward all the way to 2021, and in 2021, it was announced that UnitedHealthCare was buying a company called Change Healthcare. That closed in the fourth quarter of 2022, and they paid about $13 billion for that company, but again, ramping up growth. And then when we fast forward to 2023, well, UnitedHealthCare is buying the LHC Group. They're paying about $6.1 billion. They're also paying $1.4 for EMIS. And then it has been proposed that they will pay about $7 billion for Signify Health. But that deal has not officially been closed, nor has it been accepted yet. It's simply been proposed, but it could be a decent one to, again, help spur growth. Okay, now let's jump over to coming up with the fair value for UnitedHealthCare stock. Now, this one could be simple if we wanted to. Typically, for a health insurance company, for an insurance company in general, typically I would use something like price to book value. Discounted cash flow doesn't work nearly as well, but because their Optum business generates so much of the profit and ultimately the free cash flow for the company, well, I'm afraid that book value will be thrown off, so price to book value doesn't work nearly as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to value each division separately, add them up, sum of the parts, see what the total company's worth. So starting with UnitedHealthCare down here, well, here, for this one, we're going to use a price to earnings ratio. It's a very traditional one. That price to earnings works fairly well for a company like this, large, stable profit. We're not worried about them having, an off year where they lose money. Well, this is a chart of their price to earnings multiple going back the past 10 years. The average over this time period has been about 20x. So all we have to do is we take their average, assuming that's a reasonable multiple to use. We take that and we multiply it by the earnings per share that they've generated over the past year. That's been about $20.42. Well, we multiply 20.6x by $20.42. We get a fair value for the entire company of $421. But we have to remember that's going to represent about 50% of the total value. For the other 50%, it does make sense to use something like discounted free cash flow. So we jump over to the free cash flow numbers. This is a discounted cash flow calculator that we mentioned earlier in the video. Well, here, typically I like to use the fair value after debt and cash, but here it actually makes more sense to use the pre-debt and cash number, since the debt and cash numbers could be thrown off since we're using a sum of the parts valuation method. So here we're saying that the company is worth $475 per share. Well, it's currently trading at about $490 per share, so it looks a bit overvalued. But when we mix that into our pie, again, that top section is only 50% of the total value of the company. So we take the fair value for each section, we multiply that by 0.5, or divide it by 2, however you want to do it. That gives us the fair value for each individual company. So when we total those up, well, we get a total fair value for UnitedHealth stock of $449 per share. Well, we can see that the current price is about $480 or so. The fair value is right around $450. So we'd like to see this pull back just a bit. But this is where it gets interesting, and this is where we're going to compare it to Berkshire Hathaway. This is a chart of UnitedHealthCare stock going back to 1990. So over this time period, Berkshire Hathaway has averaged about 13%, beating the stock market. Give or take, they're at about 10%. That's fantastic. But United Health has dwarfed them in returns. Now, one minor difference here is these are total return numbers where we assume all dividends are reinvested back into the stock. Berkshire Hathaway hasn't paid any dividends. United Health has paid dividends. They have consistently paid dividends, so these returns are assuming we reinvested it. But even if we didn't reinvest that, just from a price perspective, the numbers are crazy how good UnitedHealthCare has done compared to a company like Berkshire Hathaway. I was very surprised by that. Now, for me, the stock does still appear to be a bit overvalued, so I hesitate with jumping in to buy it today. I'd like to see it pull back a bit, but if we are looking for exposure to the health insurance industry, this company has proven that they know how to make good acquisitions over a long period of time. And although I doubt that these returns will happen again over the next 20, 30 years, they do have potential to have decent amount of growth. Plus, if we like dividends, the stock has also paid a fairly reliable dividend. And it looks like they're one of those companies that will gradually increase their dividend every year. Now, if you'd like to sign up to get access to the investing platform, our private live streams, investing DCF calculator, things like that, I will leave a link in the description below, a link right here. Thank you so much for sticking with me all the way to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.